It all started with embalmed cucumbers by TheOceanIsMyInkwell. Summary.
Right, so it started with the pickles, and I'm not to blame for that. For the record, it was Ned, but, Tony sniffs out the signature Parker stutter of guilt in a second flat. He scoops up his phone from the couch and squints at it. "What gives, webhead? Spit it out." "Oh no," Peter says. "Oh God." "I've been called that, yes." "You're not the answering machine." "That is correct, Mr. 4.0. I was not prepared for the consequences of live interaction," Peter says faintly. Or Peter was bound to get shot at some point. It being on a Saturday afternoon, all because of some long-winded story about pickles that he fails to explain, is just the cherry on top. Cue Rhodey coming to the rescue to dig the bullet out, and Tony having none of the kids' nervous wisecracks. Thank you very much.
Tony picks up on the 2.5 ring. Because it's a Saturday, and the kid is usually vegging in his biffle's place and doing whatever it is modern nerds do as a pastime these days. So there is objectively no need to worry. And while Tony is in the business of snooping in the Arkno teens' more gymnastically inclined activities, he is not in the business of making his helicopter parent-mentor-influencer tendencies known. So who could blame him for feeling up to a prank or two today? Yeah, you've reached Stark, and if you've gotten this far without my forehead of security screening your call, then you're probably somebody I'm supposed to be talking to. Congratulations. Leave your message after the beep, though I'm probably never calling you back.
Right, so it started with the pickles, and I'm not to blame for that. For the record, it was Ned, but,
Tony sniffs out the signature Parker stutter of guilt in a second flat. He scoops up his phone from the couch and squints at it. "What gives, webhead? Spit it out."
"Oh no,"
Peter says.
"Oh God."
"I've been called that, yes."
"You're not the answering machine."
"That is correct, Mr. 4.0.
I was not prepared for the consequences of live interaction,"
Peter says faintly. He's definitely sounding more breathless by the minute. "So?" Tony prompts him. "What do? Cut your hand on a jar of pickles?" Despite his outward levity, Tony's throat has already tightened infinitesimally. Damn his preternatural sense for danger, also known as anxiety.
"Well,"
Peter huffs out slowly, a puff of breath, then another. The line crackles.
Well, there's kind of a hole in my leg, so, yeah, there's that."
Tony used to scoff at narrators who always described their characters' blood draining from their face. But now he finally understands how he could feel like a vampire just sucked him dry. Christ on a 15-speed bicycle.
"Oops,"
Peter says. Tony needs no further prompting. He tosses the phone into the cushions, slashes the air with a practiced movement, and thrusts out his arms for the pieces of armor that come flying at him around the corner of the living room. Friday transfers the call seamlessly to his HUD, and now he can hear every strain in Peter's lungs in horrifying high definition.
"I swear it wasn't actually a jar of pickles, 'cause, honestly, that would be absurd if I let a bunch of embalmed cucumbers stab me somehow, and, that would mean that I definitely need to look for a new hobby, 'cause, Mr. Stark..."
Context later, location now. Tony snaps. He's already jetting to the roof and blasting off in a roar of thrusters and smoke and concrete. As Peter rattles off the landmarks, Tony glimpses Karen's GPS system flickering to life in the lower left corner of his display. Great. Whatever it is that hit Peter must have compromised the wiring in his suit. "Put pressure on the wound," Tony says tersely. "Grab anything you can find that's long and not stretchy. Can you bandage yourself up?"
Peter stalls. "About that."
The man barely holds back a curse. "If the knife is in the wound, keep it there."
"Mr. Stark, this is more of a bullet kind of situation."
God damn it! Tony wobbles in the sky as he blinks and struggles to catch his breath. Fuck the wiring and fuck the damage to the suit. Somebody just had the pure audacity to put a fucking bullet in his kid. Peter's voiceless little huffs on the other end of the line pitch up into a tiny whine, and Tony thinks he's quite possibly going into the Guinness Book of World Records for the first man to have a heart attack while trapped in a titanium alloy suit hurtling at 190 miles per hour through the New York skyline. "Just press on it if you can," Tony manages to choke out. "My ETA is 3 minutes, kid. I'll be there before you know it. Come on, keep it together for me. That's it. Don't check out just yet. Look alive. God damn it. God damn it. I need you alive so I can personally skin you when this is through." The waterness of Peter's weak little laugh in reply is hardly reassuring.
"No, Mr. Stark," he slurs. "Need all the skin I can get to patch the hole."
The man indulges in a few more choice wares. He pushes the thrusters to their limit, ignoring the hum of Friday's warnings in his ear and the blinking of his speed updates in the corner of his screen. "I'm coming for you," he mutters deeply. "I'm coming, Spidey. Keep breathing for me. I swear to God on the life of Peggy Carter herself, I will personally straitjacket you in your own web when I'm done with you." Any of Peter's valiant attempts to insist on walking his way to the medbay are tossed out the window when he sets foot on the roof. Tony takes one look at the frightening whiteness that washes over the boy's face and lunges forward to catch him by the armpits from behind before Peter can crumple on the concrete. "Easy, easy, easy," Tony whispers. "Up you go. No excuses. I'm carrying you." The mere fact that Peter is silent in reply and his lips are growing increasingly pale is a testament to the pain that must be shooting through his thigh from the bullet wound. And at some point he must have either dissociated or blacked out, because the next thing he knows, he's lying back on a crinkle of paper and vinyl gurney, and the blurry outline of Rhodey's head is blocking out the halogen of light in his field of vision. "It looks worse than it actually is," Rhodey says briskly. His voice is warped, distant, as if a bubble had suddenly encased Peter's head. Tony grits his teeth and paces. "He's lost a lot of blood." "And it's healing," Rhodey points out. Which would be the perfect scenario, except there's clearly a bullet lodged in there. There's no exit point. Tony knows this. He knew this. Christ, he saw it with his own two eyes the moment he alighted on the asphalt and stumbled over to the boy's lump there, all streaked with crimson. "I'll stick him with the anesthetics and hope for the best." Rhodey goes on, already reading his best friend's mind for him. It goes without saying that the look of sheer panic that passes between them is a silent acknowledgement that no freaking anesthetics in the world so far have worked on Peter. Tony's answering smile is tight and mangled. "I hope you've been going to church on Sundays, Jimmy, 'cause my tab with the man upstairs is pretty full." Strange words uttered in an even stranger voice, but for the both of them it's enough to count as a quiet, "I trust you." "Mr. Stark?" The man's head jerks in the boy's direction at the plaintive tone of his voice. In a flash he's there, knees bent to crouch by the kid's head, and he plasters on the bravest and hardest smile he can muster. "Yeah, Underoos?" "Not a, Peter gestures sloppily in the air. Not a fan of needles. It's okay. It's just a prick and then you won't feel a thing. Tony rushes to reassure him. I'd really rather not, says the kid, and his mentor thinks he sounds pretty close to puking from fear. Remarkably, Peter's eyes are dry. It won't work. Peter speaks again when Tony doesn't reply at first. Please, Mr. Stark, just have Mr. Rhodey dig it out. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be fine. Tony chokes on the flavor of his own panic racing like centipedes up his throat. The irony of Peter's own words is not lost on him. Okay, Tony croaks out. It's the loudest his lungs will allow him to speak right now. Alright, okay, shit. Rhodey, you heard him. The other man knows better than to argue. He contents himself with a final warning glance at the two, and then he sets to work in that no-nonsense way he no doubt acquired from years of experience on the battlefield, dressing his own wounds and others. Tony can pinpoint the precise second Rhodey starts picking around inside the wound, because a sheen of moisture springs to life in Peter's eyes and forehead. A full-body flinch rocks him from head to toe. Tony's gaze traces the twitching of the muscle in Peter's jaw as he clenches his teeth against the burn beneath his skin. Before he knows it, words are flowing out of Tony's mouth, more than he ever predicted would be possible in his state of paralysis at the kid's bedside. That's right, that's good, just hold on, he says. He's got the Iron Man gauntlet on over his left hand, and Peter has a veritable death grip on him. You're doing so good. You're brave. Stupid and brave. Real brave. All that shit I said about ringing you out for getting in the situation, I didn't mean it. You know that, buddy. I'm sure you tried to dodge the bullet. It's good. It's gonna be fine. It didn't enter your vital organs. You got your stomach intact for consuming all sorts of godforsaken Parker creations. I don't care. Have all the Lucky Charms and orange juice and cranberries you want. I literally don't care. You're almost there, bud. Almost there. Oh! Peter chokes at a particularly sharp dig from Rhodey's hands. Oh, ouch, Mr. And then the rest of his voice is caught up in a tangle between a gasp and a low, dry sob, and Tony shoves the end of the pillow between his teeth for him to chomp on. And then finally, mercifully, there is a clink of metal against the counter and a triumphant little grunt from Rhodey, and it's all over. Peter's head flops back onto the gurney and the edge of the pillowcase slips out from between his teeth. There is only the faintest trickle of blood from the side of his lip where he must have bitten too deeply. Tony reaches forward without thinking to thumb away the bleeding with his free hand. Oh, wow, jeez, the kid pants out. You got a real soft hand there, Mr. Rhodey. Sorry for the lead. I'm sorry. And thanks. And then right on cue, Peter is out like a light, and Tony and Rhodey are left to stare at one another from across the hospital bed, sagging with relief. Rhodey is the first to recover between the two of them. He lifts first one brow at his best friend, then two, nodding at where Tony's gauntleted hand is imprisoned by Peter's white-knuckle grip. Hope your bad knees healed overnight, Tones, because it looks like you'll be there for a while. The perfect mix of hilarious and terrifying, and the author knows how to shift between tones seamlessly as well. Tony aging 100 years and Peter having a ridiculous hill he wants to die on is so funny, especially since we still have no idea how pickles tie into the story, and it's somehow funnier to leave it up to interpretation. One of my favorite Iron Dad Spider Son fics ever. Thank you so much, TheOceanIsMyInkwell, for giving me permission to podfic your lovely work. And thank you, dear listeners, for watching. Don't forget to send kudos to the author through the link in the description. Also, if you'd like to request any fics, YouTube community tabs are now open for you to post, aside from Tumblr. And if you'd like to show more support or check out the monthly schedule, click the link through Ko-fi. Hope you have a great week. Till next time.